This is another Patreon request from Bobby. It's the piano teacher from the year 2001. I'm gonna hop into it on this episode of Movie Breakdowns. What's up, world? Welcome to another episode of Movie Breakdowns. I'm your host, Ali Zakka. And before I get started, is there a review you want me to do? Let me know. Please put in the comment section below. I'll get to it as best I can. Also, Patreon, patreon.com/Ali Zakka for $2 a month. You can cut in front of everybody, get your review out right before it's come out on Facebook and YouTube. If not, the next movie I get to, you have to get other content on there, such as trailer reaction, trailer thoughts, and much more stuff that will be on there before it comes out on YouTube and Facebook. Now, let's go and get into today's episode of 2001's The Piano Teacher. And what is this movie about? Well, this movie, you have a teacher in her 30s, a piano teacher in her 30s or 40s. She had different sexual fantasies and kind of a masochist when it comes to her sexual fantasies. She gets pursued by a 17-year-old man who wants to pretty much hook up with his teacher. And her loneliness gives into this kid's desires, but at the same time want to put her fantasies up amongst this guy that she is teaching. The 17-year-old boy is a student as well. So there's a bunch of different types of walls that being crossed that should be crossed, and pretty much towards the end of the movie, the outcome is that by her going ahead and giving to this kid's desire that she decides, or this teenager's desire that she decides to pretty much becomes her undoing. And that is, in a nutshell, my synopsis of the movie The Piano Teacher from I want to say 2021 so bad, but from 2001. This movie's 20 years old, and that is crazy to think about. 2001, 20 years ago, 21 years ago now. Wow. But yeah, that is a synopsis of The Piano Teacher. And my first thoughts, thought the movie was fine. I watched the movie. At first, it was kind of slow for me, except for the spots where, like, the piano teacher, where she was off doing things or like going to different exotic places, and she would watch people end up hooking up and watch people having intercourse, and she would sit there like prying or get magazines and stuff like that. Like, it was like when she was off doing stuff, and then when she was a teacher, she was like hard-nosed, just being rude to her students, being like a very just angry person and very degrading teacher. Like, it was a very horrible teacher to have. Like, she, no matter what you did, said like, hey, good job, we can be better. She was like, you're trash, you brought shame to your family. Like, a very horrible person. And I can see, like, it was based off a book. So the psychology behind it, I can see that, like, the author wrote this character to be like demeaning in front of her students and demeaning to her students and just push them down and everything. Because at home, she lives with her mother, who degrades her constantly. She gets in arguments with her mother. She still sleeps in the same bed with her mother. Like, and she's 30 to 40 years old. Like, she is at the point where she should not be at home where, like, her mom should not be in the same bed as her. Like, her mom can stay at her place, but they should not just stay in the same bed. Maybe two different rooms, maybe like financially for each other, they have to stay together, two different rooms, but her mom is also degrading her. When Walter does go back to, and the character's name is, I want to say Helen, but I feel like it's not right. Erica, sorry, not Hella, but Erica. When Walter goes back to Erica's place, the mom sees this happen, and the mom starts degrading Erica and saying like, oh, you end up hooking up with him and had like a broth, you gonna have a brothel in our place now, or just different men every night. And I'm like, kind of woman, why? One, like, let's talk about the age of the kid. For one, this teenager, he's 17 years old. Yeah, he should not be trying to pursue a 30-year-old, and if a 30-year-old is getting pursued by a 17-year-old, shut him down. Don't let him give it, like, shut him down. And then in that same scene, Erica actually like tells Walter what she's into. She tells Walter that she's into being slapped and into being tied up and roped and all these things. It kind of made like a very submissive person, a submissive side. Like, she's into that. She's want to feel vulnerable, but in a sexual way, in a fun sexual way, where she's not like in pain per se, like where she's getting beat up, but like it's her sexual fantasy. She wants to have that. And she puts this onto a 17-year-old boy who doesn't understand the difference of pleasure versus just doing something to hurt somebody. And the kid is too young, way too young, and she should know better. But what happens to her should not, the ending of this movie is not actually like warranted. Like what happens to her, she didn't deserve that. And at the end of the movie, Walter comes back. He pretty much does the thing that she wants and then rapes her. I'm just gonna say the word. Like he rapes her. And after watching Irreversible and then watching Wolf of Wall Street, which is another scene in that movie I don't like as well, I skipped past it. I was like, I'm not about to sit here and watch 3 minutes, 5 minutes of it. I just watched Irreversible all the way through. And I got more and more upset. I've seen This Is England season 2 when that happened. I'm just like, you know what? I'm done. I am tired of this in these movies. We don't have to show it. There's a way you can. Game of Thrones is another one where you can portray that, or maybe just like, and this movie doesn't do it. Like it's not horrible. Like it's not like you see body parts and everything. You just pretty much see Walter and Erica's face, and Erica's not making any emotion. She's looking there straight to the ceiling, just angry, cannot fight back, and just broken. And Walter's having his way with her, and Walter like, oh, that's what you wanted, right? That's what you wanted, and gets up and leaves Erica's broken, bloody, and I'm just like, this is horrible. And then at the end of the movie, Erica, she put to do a recital with Walter and the rest of the students, because one of the girls who was paired up with Walter, she ended up mutilating her hand. She ended up putting glass in her jacket, and when the girl wanted to put her hand in the jacket, she cut her hand up and can't use her hands for piano. Erica was jealous of this girl who was talking to Walter, and she wanted to get revenge on the girl, or pretty much be petty, and which was messed up. But that puts us to the end of the movie where Erica now has to play for the show, and Walter kind of walked past her with his family and kind of jokingly, and it just blows her off, and Erica takes a knife out, which we thought she was going to use on Walter to stab him and get back at him to act revenge. She ended up stabbing herself and then walk out the building, and the movie ends that way. Which I'm like, I can see what the author trying to go. Like Erica kind of brought this upon herself, but at the same time, she didn't deserve that. Like her sexual fantasies and her lust for want to be in a position of power, but also be a very vulnerable person, and push that upon a 17-year-old boy. I can see what Arthur's like, well, she did it to herself, so that's why she stabbed herself and walked the door, but at the same time, she didn't deserve that. Like, you could have done this without her being, broken at the very end, and then really just like, I'm not sure she learned her lesson or she came to the conclusion that what she did was wrong. But she didn't deserve that to get that message across. Like, I think the movie's fine, and that's my thought process on this movie. The acting was good. Like, I thought the acting was great. The movie's in French, so I feel like when it came to the acting for everybody, I feel like everybody gave 110%. And to me, parts of the movie seemed kind of slow until you get to the part where like Erica's doing things where it add a little bit of like drama, a little bit of tension, where Erica's doing things like walking around watching people. She walks through a drive-in and looking at people's cars, seeing they're hooking up with each other. Like, very weird, creepy person. And it's interesting to see a female character be a creep, because you really don't get that. You get the guys usually be creeps in movies, and it's interesting a female character be a creep, and she wanted to live out this fantasy, but she went about it the wrong way. I did like the idea of the letter. The letter was kind of cool. Like, I like the fact that she gave the letter to Walter to say, this is what I'm into. I don't know how to express this, but this is what I'm into. I didn't like the fact that Walter was like be judging her and demeaning her by reading her letter. Like, kind of person are you? You like to be roped up and smacked? Like, dude, this is what she's into, either you're in it or not. Now, she should not have been with a 17-year-old teenager. She should have been with another dude in his 20s or 30. Like, easily. She could have made that happen. But no, she let herself give into a 17-year-old boy who was also being a creep. There's no really good person in this movie. Just telling you that right now. Not really. Because if you think about it, Walter was like stalking her, following her home, being really creepy and obsessive. And so he wasn't really a good dude. Like, and oh, he's a 17-year-old boy, man, F that. Like, to be honest, somebody could have told him differently. Matter of fact, like, Erica could have went and got the police or somebody involved. Like, this kid is not let this keep bothering me. He keep trying to persuade me. I do not want this. And I get it. She's lonely. She hasn't had a man's touch, and so she wants somebody. And so she's like, this would do. And that's horrible. Like, they're not really a good person in this movie. There's not really. As people get into their desires, and they should really like hold back on the desires, because the desires will like, the wrong desires will break them down and tear them apart, and that's pretty much what happened in this movie. And it's kind of messed up because Walter gets away scot-free and like just, hey, how you doing? And doesn't really understand the repercussions of what he did. Doesn't really come to the conclusion like, hey, you really hurt me. You brought me down. Like this is not what I envisioned. And Erica just kind of like take the blunt of it and then just walks off. Like, and I understand there's things that happen like that in real life, but at the same time, like, yeah, I just didn't like the characters in this movie. Didn't like the characters. I just thought they was really not good people all around. Even the mom. There's nobody in this movie that's really redeeming. It's just like, man. But at the same time, the story was interesting. I liked the story. I didn't like the characters' ages in this movie. Like, if this movie was different, if it was like the teacher and the student, which would be forbidden love from the jump. Like, but if the student was 21 years old, I mean, like, okay, I'm more like, yeah, let's go. Like, and without the rape scene, like, we could have done it where he didn't need the rape scene. Like, he could have been like trying to do this, or this is what you want, and then try to live out her fantasy when she saw that she wasn't even reacting to her by her body language. He could have been like, you know what? I'm out. Like, you're not into this. I'm sorry. I'm done. Cause like when he locked his grandma into the room, I thought like she would go like, oh, let's do this. And no, she wasn't at all. She was like, yeah, no. Also, another thing that set the ending up was Walter in the bathroom early in the movie. He taps her in the face multiple times. It's like, why is he hitting his teacher? He should not be hitting her. Like, you know, he's tapping her face, play tapping. That's not good at all. Like, that was a sign to me that I was like, that seems kind of abusive, and it ended up coming back around at the end of the movie. This movie is 2 hours and 11 minutes long, and I would say the negative about this movie that it does feel that way. Like, it does feel like it's dragging out, and really the things I talked about that really hits happen in the last 30 minutes of the movie. Like, and I had to keep pausing the movie because I was curious to see like how much more of this we're gonna go through, how much more time. Like, we only got 10 minutes left. Like, how they gonna wrap this up? We only got 13 minutes left. How they gonna wrap this up? But the most parts of the movie you remember is the ending. Majority of the first part of the movie, you really don't really care. It's a lot of talking, I get it's a piano movie where it's a romance movie / drama, so there's not that much action in it, but the tension scenes, like, there's not really that much tension. Like, you really get the first tension, like, and I say tenacious, but scene with the most tension in it when like Walter and Erica are in the bathroom, and then you can see the dynamic there, and you see how Erica's like forcing Walter, like, no, I'm going to do this. You sit here, face this way. No, you face me. She's still being demanding, but she wants to be really a person who's on a submissive side. But she's been in a person of power for so long that she's used to the dominant side. She want to be submissive. But the pacing of it seemed like it was kind of slow at bits and pieces. And towards the end, you kind of like, oh, this is what it all culminates to. But really, it was more of a slower movie, and I just didn't really like that. I like the fact that there's music, not really much music in this movie unless they're playing piano. That was kind of interesting. I like when movies do that. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood did the same thing. It makes it feel more real when it comes to that. The good parts, I like acting. I think the acting's really good. And then when the scenes that did have a lot of tension and drama in there, like it was really like they went 110% in, so it captivates you. But really, everything else to get to that part was like okay. And then as far as like the character's undoing with the story of her wanting to be like had a sadomasochism sexual fantasy that ended up unveiling in a horrible way. I did like that thought process of it, but I didn't like how it played out, if that makes sense. Like, I liked the idea, I didn't like the way it played out. All right, let's go ahead and get into the box office. This movie is rated R, it came out in 2001, The Piano Teacher. Director is Michael Haneke, and he wrote the movie as well. And then the novel was written by Alfred Jelinek. Sorry if I pronounced your name wrong. The box office and country of origin is France, Austria, and Germany. And the box office, this movie had a budget ATS of 70 million estimated, and it grossed worldwide 6 million and a couple of hundred thousands. I don't know if that right there is actually accurate because it's gross worldwide and it's based off of like the money value could be different, or not. It could be, it is different. So I don't know if this movie flopped in the box office. It actually did make money in France. The cast, you had, I'm sorry if I said everybody's name up here, but Isabelle Herbert, who played Erica. Thought she did good. Like when she was demeaning, she was definitely demeaning. I was like, man, this teacher's a horrible teacher. And then when she had time of vulnerability, she definitely played that right. Like I thought she did a really good job in this movie. Annie Guillerot, who was a mother, did not like her as a character. She did a great job playing her role. Annie did, because you do not like the mother. The mother you despise is so much in this movie, and I think she did a good job being the mother. And then Benoit Magimel, who played Walter, thought he did a good job. Thought he did great too. When he was like pressing and being excessive and like forceful, I was like, this dude needs to step back. This man's horrible. And like I feel like both their roles, I think Benoit and Isabelle did a great job with their characters and bringing their characters to life and really like going into it. So great for them. I think the cast was solid, to be honest. That was a good cast. And I think they delivered really well as far as acting in this movie. Any other thoughts? No, not really. I think I said everything. Like directing, camera angles, I think the camera angles are solid. Like there's scenes where like you saw someone in the back of their head and you saw the person in front of them, so you got to see the person talking to you reaction because of the other character's reaction until they switch. But they will sit in those scenes a little bit longer, so you never seen, like most movies will show both characters' reaction or instead of somebody talking in like next second, next scene or next clip, it's the other person. Where this one right here will let you sit in. For example, Erica talking to Walter, you'll see Erica talking to Walter, but you don't see what Walter's reaction to what she's saying is for about a good 2 minutes, and then you'll switch over and then you'll see Walter's reaction talking to Erica, but you don't see what Erica's reaction is like. You don't see what she's thinking. And I do like that. I like that. That was a pretty neat idea. Is this a Friday night movie? Nah, I don't think it's a Friday night movie. It's not a Friday night movie, watch with friends and family. Probably like a Saturday morning or Sunday evening, but not a Friday night movie. And grading time. I'm going to grade The Piano Teacher from 2001. I'm going to give this movie a solid C. It gets a 75% for me. I think as far as movies go, I feel like this seemed like an average movie. Like nothing really in the movie really like stood out. It was just more like the scene and the ending of it that people will talk about the most. But I feel like it was an average movie. Like 75%. IMDb gives it a 7.5 out of 10. So that's a C. And then Rotten Tomatoes give it a 73%, which is like a C minus to a C. And the audience give this movie an 81%, which is a B minus. So I'm going route of 75%. It's a C. If you seen the movie The Piano Teacher, what did you think? Please put in the comment section below. Other than that, see you guys next episode of Movie Breakdowns. Keep being awesome. Thank you so much for making it to the end of this video. I really appreciate that. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. If there's a review you want me to watch or do, let me know. Please put it in the comment section below this video. Also, you want to watch the last episode movie breakdowns, it's right there. Just gotta click on it and you'll be able to watch it. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. Love y'all and keep being awesome.